Good morning, everybody. Happy Tariff Day. I believe those take over today. This is going to be interesting considering, there's going to be some mayhem. People are going to be freaking out. They don't understand how tariffs work, so I guess it really doesn't matter. But let's go over a few things this morning, shall we? I'm sure any of you have watched the news, been on X, just anything in general. You heard that Zelensky went around begging money for the EU after Trump kicked him out of the Oval Office. Which, if you haven't seen the video, watch the whole thing so you can get a context. Don't get just little snippets that the MSM puts out there. Okay, get everything. Watch the whole damn thing. Okay, it started out cordial, normal. It wasn't until Zelensky decided to be a little bitch that things got a little out of hand. But Trump and JD were in the right. So, but let's go over some stuff, right? Zelensky's going to Europe to get money from NATO countries, and well, America pays for 70% of NATO. I wish I could put up a little, pie chart here so you can see it, but they do pay for 70% of NATO. UK is giving them a bunch of money. They're going to send peacekeepers, quote unquote. Zelensky gave some speech saying that Americans will be forced to send their women or their men and women to battle. And I think that was an old interview, if I recall, because he said that before. But I don't know if that was recently. I didn't get a chance to do a little research on that. I probably should, and then come back with the right information. But he did say it, regardless whether it was an old speech or a new one. And that's not how that works. That is not how NATO works. Trump can pull out of NATO. He can. That is a presidential power under Article 2. So if Trump says, I don't want American servicemen and women in Ukraine, he can absolutely do that. If he wants to pull out of NATO, he can absolutely do that. So Zelensky talking out his ass, but let's go over some things on how NATO works. So NATO was formed after World War II, when East and West Berlin were a thing, after it was divided, and so NATO was formed to protect Western Europe from the USSR. So there's an Article 5 I'm sure you've heard about in the NATO doctrine that says if a NATO country gets attacked by Russia, then they have to go to war. Well, they also said that once Berlin was united, Germany was not split in two anymore, that NATO would not proceed an inch further east. Well, we know that happened. We started picking up countries like crazy. So that alone eliminates the doctrine, at least in my opinion. There's some details in there that would definitely have to be worked out or looked at. But regardless, there was no promise to move an inch further east, which we did. So, because everybody's trying to use an argument that we told Ukraine that we'd protect them from Russia if they got rid of their nukes after the fall of the USSR. But it wasn't a treaty. It wasn't a formal treaty. It was a memo. There was no formalities done about it. So, yeah, there's no actual treaty. So if you hear somebody say there's a treaty or some form of protection that was ratified by the Senate, that's not true. So, but Ukraine has done some shit to try to pull NATO into this war. I found this out actually last night. I was doing some research on it, and it's true. Ukraine fired some rockets into Poland. killed a couple farmers, tried to blame it on Russia to drag NATO into the war, and everybody said, no, it was an accident. Even CNN said misfire, quote unquote. But so that's some shady shit. Zelensky's doing some shady shit to try to drag all of us into war. So everybody's all up in arms about Trump's little argument with Zelensky. Well, when Trump told him, you're gambling with millions of lives and you're gambling with World War III, he really is. But, America also said, after the First World War, with the whole Allies agreeing with Allies, and that's what brought the whole world in the war to begin with, America can say, we're not going to follow this treaty because it's going to, or this alliance because it's going to involve this country also, and it's going to start a whole fucking thing. So I think Trump's playing it right, but we'll see what the next week takes us. Trump did say last night that we're not going to give you any more military assets, no more military funding. And I think that's the right thing to do. Let them stand on their own two legs. I don't think Putin wants to move any further left. I could be wrong. But, I got to say this because people are stupid. I'm no fan of Putin, but I'm also no fan of fucking Zelensky. That whole area means nothing to me. And there's no reason for us to be there or give it any money. Because with all that money that came into Ukraine before this whole war started, money had been going into Ukraine to build fortifications. When the war started, Ukrainian soldiers get there, and where's the fortifications? They were never built. Money was laundered. American money was taken. That's American tax dollars. And, yeah, the whole thing's a laundering scheme. And I really do think that Trump made the right decision by not sending anything anymore. No more weapons, no more money. It's done. And I think that's how it should be. That's what 51% of the country voted for. It's what I voted for. I think that's the way it's going to go. But be prepared for the meltdown. If you enjoy political meltdowns on the news, go ahead and watch MSNBC and CNN because they are going to freak. You're going to hear a bunch of news today since the tariffs do take hold that it's going to destroy our economy. But in a nutshell, no. In fact, it's this whole trade war, quote unquote, with Canada and Mexico. It doesn't equate. They don't understand how tariffs work, especially that dumbass Adam Schiff or Chuck Schumer. Okay, so America exports more into Canada than Canada exports into America. We're just going to use this as a quick example. So if there's a tariff on, we're going to just go ahead and say maple syrup because it's fucking Canada. And we do produce maple syrup in the U.S. Vermont, for instance, produces a lot of it. Sorry about the lights. We got an awesome lightning storm going on right now. So they're going to flicker a little bit. But so if Trump puts a 25% tariff on maple syrup, and then Canada decides they're going to put a tariff on all the goods coming in from America into Canada. The average man, when they go into the grocery store and they go, oh, I want some maple syrup, and they look at the price of the maple syrup in the aisle, and they go, oh, look, here's this Canadian one. Because of the tariff, it's $54, but here's the one from Vermont. There's no tariff on it. It's $9. Which one are you going to buy? The odds are it's probably the cheaper one. We'd want a deal, right? We want to save some money. And in the long run, this hurts Canada. But now imagine this on a grand scale for all exports and imports. It essentially is going to turn Canada into a third world nation. It will. It'll turn Canada into a third world fucking nation. Mexico's already a third world nation, but it's going to make it worse, and the same idea applies. Same thing with China. They got a 10% tariff, and I think I understand why Trump did this, but I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to do some more research into it, and I absolutely will. I think it's because of steel. So until Trump can bring steel production back to America in full swing, and as that happens, the tariff on Chinese steel will slowly start to go up. But we'll have to see in the future. I'm going to have to do some research on that. And I think that's what it is. Probably with pharmaceuticals too. We do need to start making our pharmaceuticals in America just to make it cheaper. And it's just going to be hard because Big Pharma is not going to let that happen. So let's hope Kennedy, RFK Jr. makes that happen. But we'll see. More to come tonight. I might make another video tonight as I take in more news today. But yeah, I'm gonna try to be more consistent, and there's gonna be a lot of news rolling out. So stay tuned.